So he's trying to shame America into
not voting,
not going with Trump.
Right. And,
well, I don't know.
And the picture that he had, because you can watch his show while he's doing the show, he had a blue rubber doctor's glove on, right?
Okay.
Yeah, the kind of turn your head and cough glove. And on each finger, he had an unrolled condom on.
This was Glenn Beck?
Yeah, all 5 fingers, yeah.
All 5 fingers was Glenn Beck.
No, he had a protection on each one of his fingers.
Okay.
While he was talking about Donald Trump's wife.
Oh, you mean he was talking about Donald Trump's wife, and he had condoms on his fingers?
Right, with a blue doctor's glove on.
What a weirdo! I think he's losing it. He's got to be losing it.
Dude, that is so out there. It's so. I mean, what is he trying? Is he trying to be some shock jock? Is that what it is?
I wonder if maybe his ratings are hurting, and he thinks that in order to keep it going, that he needs to do the shock jock thing. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. No, that's possible. We had a caller, an earlier caller, that called in and told me that she thought that was despicable, and that I was right there's no reason for me to listen to the show anymore. And then I went into mentioning, where he'd come from, where he had the Tea Party Patriot movement. What was it, the Million Man March? And then,
oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That thing that he had. I'll tell you what, I could talk about the evolution of Glenn Beck. I mean, he just made this Tea Party. He's like the godfather, almost the founder of the Tea Party. He was the one that came out, and what sounded like conspiracy theories, he pretty much proved beyond any reasonable doubt all the things that we talk about on the radio every week about how communism is here. The Cold War is still raging,
right,
and it's happening on our own soil and all that kind of stuff. So he exposes all that for the first time in my life. I've never really seen anybody else expose it like that. And, of course, everybody called him a kook until he started proving it.
Right.
So he was gaining in popularity, and it got to the point where the Tea Party started taking off. And I'm not saying that he invented the Tea Party, but, I mean, he may have even coined the phrase. I mean, it's crazy. Where he was talking about the fiscal responsibility and all the stuff that the Tea Party talks about. But he rallied the people together that constitutes what we know of today as the Tea Party. He's the one that got them all together, and that giant march that he did on the whatever they call it, the mall in D.C.
Right.
I mean, that was epic. And what happened was he started to turn on the Tea Party when some people, a couple of kooks, would show up in the trifold hat. And he just thought it was weird. And he fell for the media.
He did.
The media would highlight the trifold hat people.
Right.
And he would see that on the news and be like, guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's not what are we doing. It's what's the media doing, and you're falling for it.
Right. In the time that the media paraded around, I think it was a black woman that said that she had heard at a Tea Party convention, a Tea Party movement, spitting on a black man or using racial...
Oh, no, that was the media. That was the media. What happened was there's a black senator or
that's right.
Not Republican, a representative, and he was coming through a crowded, basically a protest of people that were just angry, obviously Tea Party people. They were angry about what's going on, and all of this stuff was obviously sparked by what Glenn Beck had started. And so these people are there, they're screaming and hollering and just, protesting. But what was accused was just random. it's the MO of your Bill Ayers and what is it, the Rules for Radicals stuff and all that kind of stuff, where basically they just accused a random anonymous Tea Party person of spitting on him and saying the N-word and all this. And there's never been any shred of evidence. There's never been any eyewitnesses that come forward that could corroborate that kind of accusation. But it stuck.
Well, it was
that moment.
There was a prominent man. I can't remember the name now, but we had the sound clip on Smith Radio last year when that went down, where he pressed that news reporter about that, and he went off on her. He's like, "Were you there? Were you there?" And she finally said, "No, I wasn't there."
Of course, that's exactly.
And
what
he said, "I was there, and that never happened." However,
there you go.
That never got traction. Stuff like that doesn't get traction.
Was it Mark Twain that said that that lies go halfway around the world while the truth is still getting its pants on, or something like that? I mean, that's a perfect example of that. But it's just that I'll tell you what, that moment where that black representative, some sort of a politician, was walking through that protest, and somebody lied about an accusation of what was said to him and what was done to him, everybody got spooked. I'm talking about all the Tea Party people.
Right.
All the Tea Party people were like, whoa, they're calling people that I identify myself as being a part of racist. And even though I don't necessarily believe that, I could be called a racist.
Well, they went as far as to call them terrorists. Right, they went as far as to call them terrorists.
Well, I think the terrorism charges came a little bit later on. That was kind of underground. People didn't realize they were being called terrorists. But what happened is the terrorism charges, it was all underground. It was Obama's way of being able to track Tea Party people through the IRS and the NSA and all that stuff. If he could make the case to them that these people are domestic terrorists, then they have to act on it. And that's what he was doing. So nobody even realized that we were being called terrorists. And meanwhile, you got Obama and all of his cabinet administration telling, going into circles talking about how we're the domestic terrorists. We're the people that you need to watch out for that are a threat to American security. And so the FBI, the NSA, the IRS, all these people have got to start looking into it, because they're thinking that all of a sudden we're going to be a part of the next Waco, or right, that we're just a whole bunch of Timothy McVeighs or something like that. And the whole thing was just a way to either discredit, demonize, or have some sort of a legal leg to stand on when they do all kinds of unconstitutional stuff to us.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. You remember that whole thing that went down with the Bundy Ranch a couple of years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they wanted to label them, all of them, Tea Party people, not paying tax, not doing whatever. Bundy kind of did turn out to be in the wrong, if you will. Wasn't paying his taxes.
Yeah, he said some racist stuff.
Okay.
He wasn't, and the thing is his argument for why he should be allowed to not pay taxes, I don't really think held water.
No. But here's the thing.
And there's probably listeners right now that are getting angry at me saying that, but, it is what it is. There's a right and wrong way to handle things, and it's kind of like that Gavin Seam guy that we listen to on YouTube. He's right a lot of times, and he's definitely a champion for our actual rights, as the founders intended.
Right, and when we talked about him, we said that when you pull up to a checkpoint and you refuse a car search, and the officer wants to give you a ticket for blowing through it, no, you're not pleading your case to the police officer. He got nothing to do with that. Take the ticket. And then
you got to be able to, right? You got to be able to separate their different responsibilities. You can't. It's not the part of the law enforcement person, which is part of the enforcement branch, which is the executive branch. It's not their job to interpret a law that a legislator made.
Right. If there's a law on the books, that law is on the books, and that's his job, not to rewrite the law, not to interpret the law, not to decide on whether he's going to enforce it or not enforce it. That's just his job, just to follow the law. And so I was going to bring this up real quick.
Which is to enforce it.
Right. This week, and that's why I brought up the whole Bundy thing. This week, back in the day, there was another family that was connected with the Bundys that was doing a similar incident. And this week, Bundy put out there on Facebook that the family, a couple of the family members are going to prison now for 3 to 5 years, and what a shame, and we're really losing this, and it frustrates me that people want to skirt the law. Fight the law. Do it properly. Don't do it with disobedience.
Right. Well, you can do it with disobedience, but there has to be a very specific time and place for that. You don't act disobedient after spending the last 3, 5, or 10 years peacefully breaking the law by just not paying your taxes at all, and then come to find out when you owe $1.5 million or whatever it is he owed, all of a sudden you want to start being disobedient. It's like, what have you been doing these past 5 years or
just
so?
Ignore,
you know what I mean?
Right. If you're going to ignore the IRS for 5 years, what's going to happen is and it's unfortunate that we have this innate fear of the IRS. It's really, really unfortunate, and the government knows that, and they allow that because you kind of keep control of your people. But
they use it as a weapon,
right? But man, you know what you're going to get into if you don't legally do it the right way. Just like with the guy and the cops, do it the right way.
Did you hear that he finally got arrested? And went to court. Actually, I don't even think he got it. He had a court thing, and he went into court and started acting like an idiot. I'm talking about Gavin Seam.
Really?
And he ended up, his videos are on YouTube of him being completely disobedient in a courtroom, and it was a clear example of the wrong place, wrong time, wrong action. Right. You know, when you're in a court, you got to be able to somehow argue your case and argue, for certain things.
Right, coherently.
Yeah, go ahead.
Coherently. And with respect. You have to have respect for the
Oh, he has no
court.
respect at all. He started screaming at the judge that she's, violating the law, and it was just ridiculous. You have to watch it. I wish I could just play it for you right now, because when you hear it, you're like, dude, you're not going to get away with that. You are obviously in contempt of court.
Right.
And you're obviously going to go to jail for it.
And so then he asked the judge, he said, hey, where's Moose at?
Moose?
Sorry, that's an inside joke. That's from...
that's it.
No, Night Court. Moose, the shaved head.
Oh, that's
the
right.
bailiff.
Moose.
Hey, you got Moose over here roughing me up. Oh,
no, he was screaming that it was a kangaroo court and all this stuff.
I knew there was animals involved somewhere.
Yes, moose or kangaroo, one or the other, you're good to go.
Wow. Hey, so I was talking about Alex Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. He's got this thing, InfoWars, and it's actually starting to gain traction a little bit. Like, I'm seeing his articles.
Oh, everybody knows about... Alex Jones is the wet dream of the left, who like to point out the lunacy of the... He is what they're talking about. Do you know there's a really popular hashtag on Twitter, the hashtag RWNJ, right-wing nut job.
Okay.
And so they can sit there and tell you and anybody else that anybody that has any leanings to the right ideology, they're just like Jones, and that they're crazy. Alex Jones.
Well, now I know that Alex Jones has had some conspiracy theories in the past, and you and I both know that conspiracy theories, I hate them because they're easy to slip down that rabbit hole. It's easy to get caught up in what somebody wants you to believe that may or may not be true, use half-truths to get you sucked in. So that's tough in itself. However, Alex Jones had on his show, on his